Okay, so I want to show you guys how to do this problem. It tells us that each letter represents a different digit over here, and that no leading digit is 0. So that means we can't have zeros for the T or for the S right there. And that each digit in the number 6 is even. So that is all the information that they give us. Not a lot to go on, but let's go ahead and try it out. So I would probably start with the fact that each of these are even. So let me list out the even digits. That's going to be a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So those are our options for these 3 letters right here. So that's one thing we know. And then some other things that we know are just facts about adding even and odd numbers. So if we add 3 even numbers, let's say like 2 plus 2 plus 2, then we end up with an even number, 6. If we add 3 odd numbers, like 1 plus 1 plus 1, then we end up with an odd number. So that is also really helpful information in this problem, because that tells us that in order for us to get like this first even number, these 3 are going to have to be even. So let's start out with zeros. Obviously, if I had 0 in the place of the O, right, that would be 0, 0, 0. And then if we add those together, that would give us a 0 for that first digit, for that X. And we can't have 2 letters be the same digits. We can't have the X be the same digit as the 0. So we know that 0 is not going to be a good option there. Then what if we tried 2 over here? If we tried 2, 2, and 2, that gives us a 6. And that means that the 2 and the 6 are now used up. And then for the next 3, the W's, well, I also can't put zeros here because then I'll end up with a 0. So for the same reason, can't use a 0 right there. And I can use an even number. Let's say if I put 4, 4, and 4 here, that would give me a 12. But then obviously the issue is that we already are using a 2, so that's no good either. Then let's see, if we put a 3, that's not going to work. That'll give us an odd number. If we put an 8, all of these right here, that gives us a 24, which could work. So let's try that out. And then I have a 2, and that would mean that this digit right here has to be an even number. So we've already used up the 8 and the 4, and there's like no other digits that we can really use. So I guess that is the issue with putting an 8 right there. And so obviously it's looking like this 2 is the first place where we went wrong. So if we can't use a 2 there, what if we use a 4? 4 plus 4 plus 4, that gives us the 12. And put 1 up there. And then now we need a number for the W, which could be, oops, let me erase all of these. So now we've used a 2 and a 4. We can use an odd number for W. If we use 1, then we end up with a 4 here. Then there's the issue of those 2 letters both being 4s, so that's no good. So what if we use a 3? Then we end up with a 10. So that would be a 0. This would be a 1. And then that means we've used up a 0 right there. And then now we just need to add, these will have to also be 3 odd numbers so that when we add it to this 1 up here, we end up with a even number. And we can't use the 3 because we've already used that one. So then we would have to use a 5 in order for this to make sense. And the issue with that is that that would give us 16 right here. And this is supposed to be a 3-digit number. So that's no good. That means we really need to go all the way back to the beginning and realize that 4 is not going to work for our first number. Now, we've tried a 0, a 2, and a 4 here. And now let's try a 6. So if we make the O a 6, then what will happen is you'll end up with an 18 right here. Bring that 1 up there, and that actually makes sense. And then now if we pick a 1, then that gives us a 4. And so that means that we have 4, 6, and 8 used up already. And we know that we can't just have a 0 in either of these positions, and that we would need to have an even number right there in order for that final one to be even. So this is no good, or at least that 1 is no good. We should try another odd number. So now if we try with a 3, we get a 10, bring that up, and then now can we think of a number so that when you add those digits up plus this one, you will end up with an even number. So that means obviously it has to be an odd number. And if we go too big, so we've already used the 3, and if we go to like a 5 even, then that gives us that 2 digits right there. So that's no good. So it looks like we should try 1s over here, and that will give us a 408, and that will be the answer. That's the one that works.